Hey, you thinking about having a baby? That takes 9 months. Let's do something different.
You're talking about
Let's have a sexy body baby.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the RGB bundle.
That's what I'm talking about.
9 months of exercise programming, or the MAPS Super Bundle, which also includes on top of that.
But I want everything though.
MAPS Anywhere and MAPS Prime. Both those bundles have most of our programs. The Super Bundle has all of our programs. And this month only, enroll in one of those, and you get. What do you get for free? I think you get everything else for free.
No
right?
BS 6-pack abs, nutrition survival guide, and the fasting guide, and the forum for 50% off all come when you get either one of those.
Yep. So for free, no BS 6-pack formula, nutrition guide, fasting guide for free, and the forum for 50% off. It's at mindpumpmedia.com.
You're set for the year.
If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
Dude, you got rid of the mustache.
Huh?
You got rid of the mustache.
You know what happened?
What happened?
So I need to buy, because I really enjoy growing facial hair, long facial hair. But what happened is I have a beard trimmer that I only have like the short guard on
Did
it.
you just go off the rails or what?
Well, I have the short guard, right? So it's not the long guard where I can like gauge it properly.
Next time, let me help you, dude.
So
if you fuck it up, you
see
know,
what
we
I
can
help-
make some like cool like brick designs in your face.
You want to help me?
So
trim?
what? Explain.
Vanilla ice.
So my daughter,
Lightning bolts.
My daughter's like, "Hey, Papa, I hate it. It's too long. I hate it. You make it cleaner." She's like complaining, right? And my daughter's like, "Come on, I'm gonna do whatever she tells me." So I go in the bathroom and I'm like, "I'm gonna trim this up. I'm gonna clean it up so that my little girl, she thinks her dad's handsome again." So I go and I fucking, because the guard is too short, and I fucking went too short on one side. So it was either.
Bro, you gotta use like scissors.
It was either go like, okay, just deal with it and just have one side shorter than the other, or I had to just even everything out. And
So you don't. So when I trim like the mustache, I don't actually take a guard to that. Mm-hmm. You take the guard off and actually just line your lip. So you go ahead and let the top hair like continue.
Is
to
it
grow.
bad that I use nose hair trimmers to do that?
To do what?
Nose hair? How do you do that?
Bro, it's like this little. I'll bring it in. It's like this little tiny version.
Probably
of
actually
that, right?
it probably
It's like,
works really good.
Yeah,
Oh, it's the little.
it's a little one.
It's
yeah,
the little
I
buzzer.
have one of those for my
Butthole?
ear and
Yeah.
my nose. Yeah,
That was for your
I
butthole.
take care of.
Whoa.
God,
You
making
could
it sound
use it for
old
that.
as fuck now. I never thought I'd ever have to use that shit.
You know what? You just said something that you know what just reminded me?
What?
I just noticed this, not making this up, like a week ago, dude. I'm looking in the mirror. This is a fucking frightening thing for a man now. There's three things that are very frightening for a man.
white pubic hair.
White pubic hair.
Yes, very
fucking
frightening.
terrifying. You lose your hair on your head. That sucks. Adam will tell you about that. It's a horrible experience. Or three, hair growing from your ear. What?
Oh, in
Yeah.
your ear.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
I don't
like
get
a
it.
wolf man.
What is going
like
on?
we evolve into wolf people.
But what's the evolutionary fucking
no
advantage to
idea.
that shit?
Dude, my nose hair grows more than anything else now. You know, it's just like this bush that just like it just forms, and then I start breathing, and you notice it. It's like, I'm like, what in the fuck? And there's just big old tarantulas in there.
I
gotta get
hate
rid of
it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It is.
It's stupid.
Ah,
what are your guys?
when did this happen?
This is a great conversation. What are your guys' like? Oh fuck, I'm getting old moments that have happened recently.
The hair thing for sure for me,
Yeah.
because that happened. That all of a sudden accelerated at like I went through these spurts, right? So when we were younger, I have like my two best friends that go all the way back. I talk about them all the time. I go all the way back since high school, and that of the three of us, my one buddy, like he was thinning in high school, and so it was like
So you knew it's like
so and, you know, imagine we used to tease the fuck out of him when we were like, you know, early 20s, just like, oh, you know, the hairline shit all the time.
Fuck.
And he just, you know, he chalked it up about, I don't know, 25 or so, just fuck this, just start shaving it completely, grows his beard out, and he's got the facial hair thing. He's had that since he was 25 or maybe even earlier.
Yeah.
Then my other buddy and I, we were cool. We were good, dude. We were solid. You know what I'm saying? Good hairline, like thick hair, still getting compliments from the hairstylist. Like, man, you got great, beautiful hair. Somewhere around like 27, he started to get like this spot on the back of his head. And I remember, dude, like we would all just, my boy that was blowing, I told you motherfuckers, all that teasing, it was going to happen to you sooner or later. And, you know, he fought it for a while. And then he just owned it, shaved it also. And so I've been like the last one to go, and I've been fighting it off for a really long time. And I've tried all these different hairstyles to like make it look better, but
It doesn't.
yeah, I'm at the point now where it's like,
it's okay. You got a hat.
yeah, I wear a hat when I sleep now, when I shower.
Yeah,
Everywhere I go now, it's like, got a hat. I always got to call ahead for reservations. Like, hey, what's dress code? Can I wear a hat?
You know what though? Back in the day, they used to have sleeping caps. You ever remember? You ever watch cartoons?
I wear
sleeping cap.
Ooh, sleeping caps.
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel it's uncomfortable.
It was the thing.
But every time I look in the mirror and I'm like brushing my teeth, my head's down. Especially in the morning time when my hair's all fucking going different directions, and you just like can see your scalp. You're like, oh my god, dude.
Read your own mind.
You're getting old, bro.
So that's your getting old moment right there. There's nothing else.
I think
Because that happens sometimes when you're young. I mean, you were in your 20s.
Well, for me, it was mainly like, okay, so I was with a group of younger people, let's just say, in a car, right? And like they wanted to choose music and like play it, and so I'm like riding shotgun, and so I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. And so they started playing music, and it was just like I noticed like my facial expressions and like my eyes like started squinting really hard, and I was just like, oh, like I just couldn't relate at all, and it was too loud. I'm like, oh, is this how you guys listen to this? This is too loud.
That's it.
Like, what in the fuck?
Have you noticed?
I can't even think.
Have you noticed that shit's too loud now?
Everything's too loud.
It used to never be too loud.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever too loud for me.
I'm like,
everything's too loud.
And then I
too
yell
loud.
at people.
Yeah.
Like if like somebody's speeding, I'm just like, hey,
Yeah.
like what are you doing?
Meanwhile, you knew you were an asshole like at 16 years old, fucking mashing around
Oh my
donuts in
God.
your car and stuff like
Dude.
that.
I hate people that drive like maniacs. I'm like, what the fuck?
Katrina
Be
and I had
safe.
an old moment just yesterday.
So here's mine, and then I'm gonna hear Katrina's. But here's mine. This is something that I didn't even know was an old moment until it happened to me, and I was like, oh fuck. So old people, when they first sit down, this is what they do. I'll show you. Ready?
Yeah.
Like they make that sound, right?
I do that tying my shoes.
What the fuck?
In the morning, I'm trying to put my shoes. I'm like,
So I did it yesterday, right? I sat down with my kids and I just went, and I'm like, oh fuck.
yeah.
And then I thought about it, like my objective, like analytical mind. I'm like, why
it's
am
like when
I?
that door hinge gets a squeak.
Yeah, I'm like,
you know?
why am I making that weird
That's what
grunting
happens to
sound?
us.
And it's because it's what it is you're trying to maintain core stability when you sit down. That's it.
You have to consciously do it now.
Yeah, and then you like let it out. You have to let it out slowly so you don't hurt your back. You know what I'm saying? So you're just like, but you're not lifting weights.
Oh my God.
You're sitting on the couch.
Or if like your conversation starts to be just based around like what's going on with your body, internally. Like I'll start saying something, like I was just having a normal conversation, and all of a sudden like I had this weird like sound going on in my stomach, and it was going up to my throat. It's like and my friend just started like, what the fuck was that, dude? I was like, I don't know, man. I got some weird stuff going on.
That was a new one.
Yeah, that was a new one.
Or how about this?
I'm
like
taking this new medication.
another one too. This one's like rather recently too. Is like in the morning, a good or bad shit will set the whole day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like people will be like, damn, dude, why are you in a bad mood today? And I'll be like, I don't know why. And I'll think about like, I didn't have a good shit. like so much stuff goes wrong.
There's a lot of friction.
It's
on
not
that one.
fair, dude.
Yeah.
It's not fair. What happened to Katrina? What was
Well,
her-
it was Katrina and I both. So we just this last weekend we went shopping. It's been a while since we gone shopping and cleaned out the closet, upgraded some shit, and it was so funny.
Sounds like an R. Kelly song.
So we're out though, right? So we both get a bunch of new stuff, and then of course after you go shopping like that, you want to wear some of your new shit. So we both are in our new fits that we've just purchased, and we go out, and I think we're having sushi that night. We're out having dinner, and we run into a couple of people that I know that are like really young. They're not really young. They're like 23, 24. And they both make a compliment to us, and they're like, man, you guys look fucking great, dude. I love this fit, and asking about it and everything like that. And then right after that, we go somewhere else, run into somebody else, and same thing. And Katrina, both of us are like, oh yeah, cool, right? But as soon as we get like by ourselves, it's like this fist pump right away. Like we got complimented by like 23-year-olds.
We were
like,
noticed.
yeah, you see that? Did you notice? He noticed my outfit, right? Did you know that she noticed your outfit, right? Like, fuck yeah, we still got this, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that it was like this fist bump, like excited moment for you afterwards is that sign of like, oh Oh man,
Like,
we're that
like
old.
you guys are trying.
Yeah, like yeah, it was,
now
like,
you're trying.
Yeah, it's like we had to. Before, it's a natural thing that just happens.
we can relate with you guys. Hi, kids.
I just think you end up giving up at some point. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what happens. I used to. Okay, I remember literally being a trainer. I used to run camps all the time. This was something I used to say to my campers. Right, I'd be 25 years old, and I'd have a.
This is your famous quote.
Oh, my happy campers.
I used to tell them all the time that, like, hey, part of my job is training. That was the joke, right? Like, I'm here to help get you in shape, this and do all those things, but I'm also here to help you guys not get old. And at one point in your life, you stop to not give a fuck. Like, and I'm here to make sure you give a fuck for the rest of your life. Like, don't stop listening to new music. Don't stop following new trends. Because that's part of your youthfulness. I promise you that. And I said, so I would tell and preach this all the time. And then it hit me one day and I remember the moment it happened to me. I was, I think I was 30, and I'm driving around. And back then I had that lifted Chevy, and I was like blaring like Hinder. And then like I drove by, right, and I was like, I felt cool. Music was blasting, windows were down, you know.
Yeah,
like,
what's up?
Yeah, right. And I'm driving by, and I drive by a bunch of like younger kids and stuff, and I caught that moment. I caught the moment where they're looking at me, and in my head, the first, like, it's the way it's processing is like, yeah, I'm cool. They see I'm cool. Yeah. But as we get closer and I go by, they start laughing and pointing at me, and I can tell.
Oh my God!
And then there was this like, I'm not cool. And
oh man.
And then I actually evaluated, like, oh shit, like I'm probably listening to a song right now that's like 8 years old, you know, and I'm blaring it like on and then I remember thinking to myself, fuck, I remember these guys. I remember when I was their age, and I remember seeing these guys and looking at my buddies going,
back then it was a Trans Am.
What a tool, dude. He's like, that shit was so old. Remember when that was cool, like with my friends? And I realized, like, oh God, that was me. And that was that moment for me that and I believe that everybody gets stuck in an era.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
When you're young, right?
I haven't even picked one.
When you're you meshed it all together, I think.
Or just made up my own.
Everybody,
this is the future.
Everybody does this. You can look at somebody, okay, especially somebody that's older than 30, and you can see where they got stuck. You know, if you're 40, 50, whatever like that, I can look at someone's outfit and go like, and the music you're listening to, and
you're
the
totally
outfit you're
grunge.
and I know like
Damn
where you got stuck and you didn't keep evolving with time, and we all do it.
So you guys, you both worked at the Santa Teresa 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if you kept coming there, but do you guys remember the dude that would come in with the straight up like fucking scorpion's hair? Like he had he was blonde. You never saw him? Bro, I actually walked up to him and asked him if he was in a cover band or something, because I thought maybe this was part of his thing. He's
like a hair metal band?
Bro, it was, I swear to God, dude, it was literally like,
wow,
like pretend like it's like today's Halloween and I'm gonna put a wig on.
See, I love people like that. That's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, did he have like tight pants?
Bro, he's like 55, dude.
That's great.
It was
He's coming stuck in that era.
Yeah, he was super stuck.
Yeah, that's what happens. So I would always tell clients, I'd give them like exercises to do. Like, listen, you need to watch MTV for 2 hours. That's it, a week. That's all I want you to do. Just watch it. You know, just watch it, absorb it.
I feel like MTV isn't even cool anymore.
Well, it's not for us.
The internet is.
Is it?
Nobody watches that shit, dude.
All it is like Catfish or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
no,
what a fucking stupid show.
Well, it's
see, that's what an old person would say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so dumb.
Well,
that's the problem.
Because
basically you got to pay attention to all the stuff that you think is dumb.
Yeah.
It's kind of true.
Ooh, I got bamboozled by some fucking creepy internet guy.
You have to be a little bit open minded, right? I'm not saying that MTV is going to provide like all the answers to anybody staying in style whatsoever, but it's staying in touch with the younger generation, which is also why I still always keep like a handful of like young hip kids around me, so I can I'm not afraid to ask.
Use them for their
I'm not afraid to ask. Like,
I keep waiting. I'm like, where's the cool stuff?
Right.
When I see the cool stuff, I really go for that, you know. But I'm like, it's just,
but this is like what I told you guys the other day. Like your understanding or what your thought process of what cool is totally disconnected from what really is anymore.
You know what's gonna suck, and it hasn't.
Right now, it's cool to be kind of, you know, I don't even want to say it, dude.
you don't want to give it away, or you don't know what you're gonna say.
No, I don't even know what it is, to be honest. I haven't figured it out yet.
So I was about to. He's like, hey guys, you know what's cool?
Yeah,
because I don't.
Like really soft music, and it's like, you know, I'm like wearing all this like, you know, stupid clothes. You know. Nobody's fucking manly anymore. You know
so nondescript.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you know what's gonna suck, because it hasn't happened yet, but it will pretty soon, dude. at some point you're gonna fucking be very proud that you can work out harder than the fucking 20-something-year-old dude at the gym pretty soon. It's not there yet because I'm doing pretty good. But like, within a 10-year period, I'm gonna be looking at them and being like, oh yeah, I kept up with the fucking 20-something-year-old, and then I'm gonna go take a bunch of ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God damn it. Whatever, dude. I still have more testosterone than he does.
Bring on a young bird, please.
Step right up, all you bearded men and all you bearded ladies. This quad is brought to you by Big Top Beard Company, whose all-natural beard oil products not only make your beard smell amazing, but feel amazing too. Their organic essential oil blends transport you to manly places like the mountains, the desert, the sea, and beyond, all while encouraging a lot of beard nuzzling to boot. Buy it for yourself or as a gift for that special bearded someone at BigTopBeardCompany.com. Enter the discount code MINDPUMP for 33% off at checkout.
All right, our first question is from Erica Candice, asking about postnatal recovery after a baby, and you've been cleared by your doc.
Did you pick this one, Sal?
No.
The one guy who has no kid in his life.
Yeah, Adam picked it.
I want to talk about pregnant ladies.
Yeah, Adam's got a thing for
Well,
pregnant girls.
I knew that you guys.
Every time a pregnant woman, we see what Adam's like, oh my God, they're so hot. Like, so weird.
He likes that.
Weird
I
fetish.
do have a pregnant
kinda
fetish. I don't know
interesting.
what it is.
It's weird.
Maybe because there's. I know
It does exist.
I know she's easy.
Oh my God.
Bro.
What do you mean easy?
Or a for sure thing.
No, like it
No.
works. You know,
Hold on. Let me translate. Here's what Adam does. What he's trying to say is he knows she's already had sex. But what comes out of his mouth is 10 times more asshole.
yeah, 100%.
She's not. She's easy.
I know, just offended like all the pregnant
No,
women.
that's not true.
Fucking asshole.
That's not true. Postnatal recovery.
She's been, just so you know, before, I don't know if Doug put it up there or not, she's been cleared. So it's not like let's just make that clear, right?
Step number one, you got to be cleared for exercise. When the rule number one for me, when I would train women after pregnancy, and there's two categories of people that I would train postnatal. One were the people that I trained before and during pregnancy, which is much, much easier, and it's actually quite different.
Oh, yeah, you barely skip a beat with that person.
You don't, you still have to, you still want to focus on a few things, but somebody who's not worked out and then had a baby and then wants to get into working out, you have to pay much closer attention and be a little bit more careful. But rule number one, after having a baby, is focus on core stability.
Yeah.
Focus on activating
neuromuscular recruitment. So, it's really that connection that you're seeking initially. It's you want to just regain these kind of functions and get the muscles to respond the way that they need to.
Yeah, because what happens when you have a baby, the baby grows in the uterus and it stretches out all of the muscles of your core. Mm-hmm. And when muscles are stretched, they're automatically weakened. And you can test this out yourself. You could put yourself in a really, really deep stretch and then try to activate that muscle. It's actually quite difficult. In fact, I would recommend not trying to activate it super hard when you're in a deep stretch because you may actually injure yourself. So muscles, number one, are naturally weakened in this stretched position. So now you're pregnant, you've got this baby growing, so your belly is big. All those muscles are stretched out, so they're already in a weakened position, and you're limited, especially in the third trimester, in terms of how you can activate them, or at least you can't activate them in any type of full range of motion. Yeah. So you lose connection to those muscles. So then after, and what ends up stabilizing you a lot during your pregnancy are your hip flexors. Yeah. Hip flexors and low back. That's why you get a lot of low back problems during pregnancy. So after you have the baby, you want to reconnect to those muscles, and that does not mean you go do a bunch of sit-ups and leg raises. No. Because you're just going to recruit the muscles that are still connected, which are your hip flexors. Mm-hmm. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to focus on activating those muscles that you've lost connection to, and then slowly focus on strengthening them through ranges of motion. We actually posted a video on our YouTube channel. It's Mind Pump TV, and you can look it up. It's called Hip Flexor Deactivator. And it's a movement that I do with anybody who's got hip flexor dominance, but especially post-pregnancy or postnatal. And it's a great way to kind of get the hip flexors to step out a little bit while activating some of the muscles of the core. And then the second video I recommend you watch is another popular video we have on there is stomach vacuums. And vacuums that's probably one of the first exercises I do with a woman who just had a baby, because I'm trying to activate
The deep core.
their deep core muscles, the transverse abdominis that pulls in.
What about the belly breathing that you
midsection.
did with Stephanie too?
Belly breathing, that's another one where you're kind of getting that diaphragm to fully inflate again, because I'm actually really happy you brought that up, Adam, because when you have a baby, the baby obviously when it's growing and it's big, presses up into the diaphragm, and you tend to breathe shallow out of necessity. And so you want to change that breathing pattern back to its normal one. Otherwise, you can experience a little bit of anxiety or feeling like you're not getting a full diaphragmatic
And as
breath.
you're sort of going through that process of reactivating, and getting the abdominals to respond and going through that exercise that's on the YouTube, just instead of like focusing on reps and sets and all that kind of stuff, really just the intent there is to just really try to squeeze and connect. And so I recommend more like isometric sort of work to just, really try and focus down that signal and get it to respond, and, kind of gradually work your way towards reps and getting back into the swing of things.
For the most part, though, I feel like a lot of stuff is the same. I think a lot of things, there's a lot of stuff out there to either scare or intimidate people into like, oh, you need to do this, or oh, you need to take that.
There's a lot of myths too.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
But you could jump ahead is I think why we're being like kind of cautionary, like, or like being real like specific is like these are like the first sort of items.
Yeah.
Is because if you could just start working out, but now all of a sudden you're not going to have the support system there to support your spine as well.
Well, the biggest mistake I see is when women who don't work out have a baby, is that they're in this rush.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
To
Now
get
they
in
gotta
shape.
get all the weight off.
Well,
And they
let's-
make tons of mistakes.
Let's talk about that for a second, because here's the reason why I said that was not because 100% I agree with the boys. Like, this is important. In my experience, though, I feel like this is what I get is really common is someone who's had a baby, and then, like you said, either one, they're in like this hurry, like, oh my God, I have all this baby weight that I've put on, and now it's time to get serious. The whole time they were in pregnancy, they ate like shit. They didn't really move and exercise, and now they're on this mission to rebuild their body, and it's like all intensity driven. So there's that one extreme. And then you have the other people that are, they have been going like consistently through. They train through their pregnancy, and they're out of their pregnancy now. Someone like that, you can almost just keep on going. Like if you've done a good job of exercising while you were pregnant, which I've trained people literally up until the day they had their baby, you can just pick up right where you left off and keep going, and you're probably going to be pretty damn good. And there's a lot of scare tactics out there to scare pregnant women away from training, and don't push too hard, don't do this. Well, what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't go any harder than what you were going before. So if you're someone who trained pretty consistently and then you get pregnant, I don't recommend stopping working out. I recommend doing pretty much the same stuff you were doing going into your pregnancy.
and just listen to your body.
Yeah.
Like if all of us,
the biggest thing.
yeah, if you're doing a bunch of Roman chair sit-ups and leg raises and planks, and now you're like, ooh, those hurt me because I have this big belly now. I'm in my third trimester. Just stop doing them.
Yeah.
But your body's incredibly capable throughout most of your pregnancy. You can keep working out pretty much like Adam said till the day you give birth, so long as you're healthy and nothing major goes wrong.
Some of the women I've seen do that are the ones that are still squatting all the way through their pregnancy, and they come out and they're still squatting. You're doing a lot of movements that you still would do. I just,
As long as you're doing those.
Yeah.
And you're not like trying to ramp up through your pregnancy,
course.
which is
Doing
I
plyos.
do see that though too. Like, I'm getting pregnant, so I got to now, really intensify my workouts, like to bounce back.
Two mistakes with that. One is if you're ramping up your intensity from where it was before, after you just got pregnant, the signal that you're sending your body is stress is up. We are now in a new situation, a new environment with higher demands on the body. And one of your body's last resorts, believe it or not, in a situation like that is to not complete the pregnancy. And there's been cases of this and this is where the scare tactics come from, where a woman who doesn't work out, gets pregnant, is super afraid of getting fat, and then decides she's going to run a marathon. And then she loses the child, or something bad happens, or she hemorrhages and gets bed rest. Well, yeah, you're telling your body that you've just entered into a new stressful situation. Your body knows that you're pregnant, so it's gonna think, and you're kind of, the baby's a priority, but you are a priority as well, and your body will make sure that you are okay. And if it thinks that the stress is new and too much, bad things can happen. So don't change anything. Here's the perfect scenario. Perfect scenario is this: you're already exercising. You already have a good, routine. You're already fit. You're doing everything right. Then you get pregnant, and then you just keep doing what you're doing. Don't have to change anything. Listen to your body. Then you stop when you think you need to. A lot of women don't need to up until, again, like the day before they have the baby. Some women feel like they absolutely are super uncomfortable, have to stop a few weeks before. Have your baby, depending on if you had C-section or how your labor went. Get clearance by your doctor. Go back to the gym. Start slow, but you will be surprised at how fast you bounce back. I've had clients bounce back incredibly, compared to the average person, incredibly quick, because they went into it already fit, and they went into it with the understanding that there's a process and that they're not going to...
Well, it'll help with the labor, being strong, going into labor. So,
and we got to realize something, like, we always forget that when women got pregnant, for most of human civilization, it wasn't like, oh my God, you're pregnant, don't do shit anymore. Like, that
wasn't an option.
It wasn't an option. Like, you're still hunting and gathering. You're still part of the tribe. You might have another child. You still have to stay, moving, and increases your odds of successful, labor. It wasn't like it is, and now we're better at it. Now we tell women keep moving, but it wasn't that long ago. Like, when we were born, like around the 70s and 80s, even then they were telling women, like, relax, don't move. The only way they delivered babies were women were on their back. Now,
I was going to talk about that. Yeah, because I give my wife a lot of credit. She did. We had a doula actually come with us to kind of help with the process, and that really helped me to kind of help coach. And she actually was able to do a lot more.
What did you call it? A doula?
They're called doula.
Yeah.
Doula?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like a person who, it's like almost like a nurse, but their expertise is in delivery.
Delivery, yeah.
That's all they do.
Is that an acronym for something?
I have no idea.
That's a good question.
I have no idea. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a thing. I don't know.
I believe you.
Yeah, one of her friends was one and offered to be that for us. So it really just helps to, like.
Did you guys go to the hospital though? Right? You didn't.
We went to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. So
did she do the whole epidural thing?
No. So
wow, your wife did both.
Both.
Nothing.
Yeah, without an epidural, and that's not like shaming any other like women that do that or anything. But I was. I totally respected that, because that was something she had like in her mindset that she wasn't going to do. And then even though certain points it was like, she still didn't do it, so.
Wow.
And tried all these different, positions to help it move it along, and it worked, it was like very, very outside, unconventional, let's just say. So
yeah, exercise, being fit, eating right will decrease your chance. I don't know what the number is, but it's a significant statistical difference in terms of your odds of needing a C-section. So if you're fit, healthy, you're eating right, moving, you're not, bed rest and all these different things, the odds that you'll need a C-section are much lower. And you want this. Obviously, C-section can be a pain in the ass to recover from. If you have more children after that, it's getting more and more difficult to find doctors that will actually deliver a second or third child after you've had a C-section. So they don't do VBACs as much anymore, what they're called. Yeah. And there is some evidence suggesting, and it's pretty strong, that children who are born through C-section have a higher risk of allergies, food intolerances, and autoimmune issues, because they're not exposed to
the vaginal bacteria.
Yeah. Now, I will say there was one caveat. They did find there is some bacteria in utero as well. So it's not completely sterile, but still, those studies do show that being, born vaginally is probably, better if you can do it that way.
The epidural too. If the recovery for that is a bit longer than if not. So Courtney was kind of describing it to me, but basically, it puts you out. Your recovery time extends a bit, with that. So
if I had to recommend a program to someone, I would say pre-phase of MAPS Anabolic coupled with MAPS Prime.
Perfect.
That's how I would start someone.
Yeah, that'd be the perfect routine. Or MAPS Anywhere minus the AMP sessions.
There you go.
If you don't want to go to the gym.
Mark Wolves is asking on your thoughts about best deadlift grips.
So for me, this is a great question because I love deadlifting. I love pulling. And for years, I trained, I used an alternate grip. Your standard powerlifting, one hand supinated, one hand pronated grip when deadlifting very heavy. The problem with this was that I got really, really good, or really comfortable, I should say, training the recruitment pattern to where my right hand was supinated and my left hand was pronated. So it wasn't very often that I would pronate my right hand and supinate my left hand. So it ended up being that was like my default heavy grip. And so what I would do is I'd go up to 315 with a double overhand grip, and then anything over 315, I'd alternate my grip, and then the right hand would supinate, and that would be how I'd pull. As a result, I developed some imbalances in my back, which I could tell. And I could tell because
visually and mechanically, or just one or the other?
Actually, both.
Yeah.
So when I would get a massage, the person that would massage me said, "Well, it looks like this part of your back seems more tense or a little thicker." And I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of weird." And then I'd like go up against the wall. I'd put my back up against the wall and kind of round my shoulders, and then I noticed that there was a little discrepancy between the two sides.
So one side developed a little bit more.
Because of the grip, and you do take off, the bar takes off a little differently that way. It's very, very subtle, but if you constantly lift this way, that can happen. And then the second thing is when I would go to try to alternate my grip, I'd get really fucking sore in my right pronator teres. It would almost injure it. And it was all because I wasn't used to pulling heavy weight with my hand in that position. And it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe, I don't know, it's only been about a year or so, maybe a little less. And I said, that's it. Like, I'm not going to pull like this anymore. And at first I said, I'm just going to alternate and go the other way. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to try and get really good at a hook grip, because a hook grip is both hands overhand. They're both the same. I don't have to keep track of how often I'm doing one side versus the other. And it took me a long time, and I'm almost at the point where I can hold on to as much weight with a hook grip.
Oh, really? You're there?
Yeah, as I can with an alternate
I was going
grip.
to ask you
Yeah,
that.
it takes a long time to develop.
I fucking hated it.
And I tell you what, if you get good at it, you can handle. Look, Olympic lifters pull fucking tremendous amounts of weight with a hook grip. Yeah. Lane Norton is a super strong deadlifter. He uses a hook grip.
Is he a hook grip?
He's a hook grip lifter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been hook gripping for a long time. If you get really good at it, you can pull just as much weight with a hook grip. It just sucks. It just takes time to get used to. So, my personal opinion, the best grip, hook grip. However, give it some time and get your body used to doing it, because at first it hurts your thumbs, and then you can't hold on as long, and you're going to get sore in your pronator teres and all kinds of different things. So.
Well, I don't think you're going to hear any debate from any of us that is by far the best.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like the only thing I will say is that what sucks, if you've been lifting the other ways for a very long time, you're regressing.
You're gonna have to regress
a
lot.
Yeah, a lot for a while. Like for
a long time.
Yeah, I went on a kick from the hook grip for a little bit, and I just got frustrated with it. I was just like, God, it hurts my hands. It's just not comfortable. Like, and then I felt like it was just hindering the rest of my workout. So, fuck yeah, dude. It's definitely superior though. There's no doubt over is better than alternating for sure. I mean, when you think about it biomechanically, I mean, when you supinate your hand like that, you're going to activate the lat more on that side. That's just a fact. That's what it's partially responsible for. So as soon as you internally rotate like that, the lats are going to get activated more versus when you're pronating.
Not to mention think about the internal external rotators of the humerus, right? The infraspinatus and supraspinatus muscles, for example, and some of the other muscles that are involved in internally externally rotating.
That's the lats.
So if you're in this position, sure, because some people are going to say, well, you're not rotating, you're not actively rotating internally externally.
You don't have to be. You're isometrically
isometrically, and so what you're doing is you're getting that muscle really strong at pulling heavy weight in that shortened position on one side, and in the lengthened position on the other side. That is a small, subtle difference. And you're not going to notice it, but if you do it for months and years,
load increases, and like repetitive volume, like it's just all going to add up. So.
Well, this is where and it reminds me way back when we first started talking about this, and I really got rid of my wraps because of you. And I have to admit now that like I would reintroduce wraps with a double overhand grip. I think is superior to a power grip. Now, for competing reasons, you can't. like if you're a competitor, you don't get to use wraps in a competition. Like you got to go barehanded. So I understand the benefits of somebody who's going to be competing, but I'm not ever, well, as of right now, I have no plans of doing a powerlifting meet. But I do like to go really heavy, and my grip does become limiting at a certain point. And so in my opinion, once you get to a certain point, I think a double over with wraps would be more superior to the average lifter than somebody who goes over under.
I'll tell you why I disagree to that.
Okay.
Because we have now several studies that demonstrate that using wrist wraps promotes different recruitment patterns all the way up in the shoulder. And so what you're doing is you're trading one bad recruitment pattern for another. Now, it may be more asymmetric if you constantly use the same grip, the constantly use the same over-under grip. But by using wraps, you are changing the recruitment patterns all the way up in the shoulder, and they're the kind of recruitment patterns that promote shoulder dysfunction.
You can argue that same thing with the over-under. You could argue the same thing, bro.
So I don't think it's better or worse. I think it's in the same category.
This is where I disagree, though. Being somebody, who has actually done it for a long period both ways and has seen the imbalances that they've caused, I have never had as many imbalances in my shoulder and my back as I start as much as I have from heavy lifting over under. Then I used to use wraps all the time with heavy lifting.
Yeah, but you're going from one of the. I think what's the best is hook grip.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. If you can train yourself, if you have the discipline to do a hook grip, I agree 100% with you. And then after a hook grip, then it would just be a regular over grip. But then I would argue that I would rather do, and you will see me now use straps with both hands over before I go into
why not develop or keep practicing?
Well, then that would be ideal. Yeah. That would be ideal. But I'm just going to keep it real that I probably won't, and if I probably won't, I would choose to use the wraps over I would the over under. And that's because
why did you stop with the hook?
Because it was driving me crazy. I didn't like it. It wasn't comfortable. I wasn't deadlifting enough. It's not a sport for me to care that much. So I mean, it's just like you squatting with squat shoes or a weight belt. We can sit here talk circles all day long about it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, people are still going to utilize these tools.
I guess it depends what you're looking at. I mean, if your goal is to just lift as much weight as possible, I guess use wrist straps. If your goal is to be able to connect the entire chain and be able to hold on to the weight and lift it and stabilize it, then you'd want no wraps and you'd want double overhand grip and you'd want to develop that as much as possible.
Absolutely. We're all on the same page. I'm just sharing my experience from being somebody who's actually now applied, all of those methods. And the only one that I didn't go for a very long time is the overhand with the hook grip, which I would agree would be the superior one if I was to discipline my ass to keep going, to regress, to go through all that, to work my way back to lifting with that. But I'll tell you now, if you catch me pulling really heavy weight, you'll find me probably use the wraps, which I haven't even done. So just say that is like, whatever. But what I have done to myself by doing a heavy over-under grip, I have caused more dysfunction in my shoulder and my back.
You kept it the same, right? The same side, supinated and pronated?
Yeah, for most of the time. I mean, I tried to go for a while where I switched the other way, and that just
found your strong side.
Yeah, I mean, if I was chasing PRs, and that's really what I was trying to lift as heavy, I was going to go with what felt the most comfortable and dominant.
A lot of that is ego based. For me, it's already like it's a weak lift for me, so it's like I don't like necessarily chime in with you guys, but like I'll try just to go double overhand, and then if I don't get any heavier from that, that grip, then I'm done.
What about because you do a lot of power movements, and although you're not lifting as much as you are when you're deadlifting, you're having to generate speed, which requires a lot of grip. You don't use a hook grip on that?
I don't use a hook grip. Yeah.
Okay,
just overhand.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Are there any like power lifters or Olympic lifters that don't even use a hook grip and actually are pulling like?
There's none that I know of.
Not sure. Yeah, not sure about that.
Like almost everybody is a.
Yeah, they're all hook.
Olympic lifting, hook grip is like part of the protocol with Olympic lifting.
I wouldn't mind developing it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it would help for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could all agree on that. There's no doubt the hook grip for sure, over, and then over, and then where maybe we disagree a little bit is the wraps versus the over under. And I'm just speaking from experience that being a guy that's done both for long periods of time, I caused more dysfunction in my shoulders and my back than I ever did with wraps. I did with the over under.
Lindsay Adair, 23. What is the biggest mistake you see new trainers making, and what were your mistakes as a new trainer?
Number one, I think, and I believe it's still common, goes all the way back to when we trained, and it drives me crazy to see, is intensity-driven workouts.
The flashy workout.
Yes, a lack of attention to detail and movement, and too much emphasis on, can I come up with the most creative, fucking backbreaker workout for my clients. To this day, I go to the gym, and it's the thing I just, and I it's like watching a slow train wreck for me. I just can't look away. It's none of my business to come over. I would never totally check a trainer in front of their client. That's just, I would never do that. But I cringe. I watch these trainers, and it's like this.
It's hard to watch.
It is hard, but in where I have patience too is I went through that. Like
right. You got to remember that you put yourself in there.
Yeah,
right. Because we were there at one point.
We were right, and there was definitely, and there's definitely a culture around that within gyms. Is this, who's got the most creative workout, and you know what, creative workouts do not always and very rarely equal the most effective.
Dude, I literally just had this conversation last week because I went to go work out, where I go work out at. I don't want to call it out just in case they're listening, but you see there's this group of women, and they take this super high intensity workout driven class every morning by this one trainer, and I can pick them out now. I've been doing this long enough to where I can see, and it's you see this in men and women, but more often women than men will end up in this category for some reason. And I think it's just because women tend to beat themselves up more than men tend to. But these women come in mid 40s, maybe 50, maybe late 30s, and you can tell their adrenal fatigue. They're totally adrenal fatigue. Like their bodies are fucking broken down. They don't get a lot of sleep, probably because they have small kids or they work a lot. They come in, they're not overweight, but they're definitely loose because they haven't developed a lot of muscle.
Or maybe better said, they're not obese, but they're overweight. Most of them are pretty overweight.
Yeah, they're like, it's like this look, and I know you guys can see it too. Like you can tell.
I know what you're describing.
And they come in and they've got they're tired. They've got the bags under their eyes. They're all coming in and they work out, and the trainer beats the fuck out of them, and they're all just trying as hard as they can, and he's yelling at them like, go, 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 and they're doing these sprints on the cardio, and they're doing machines and circuits, and they're punching a bag, and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and you can see that, like, first of all, there is no form. Like, it's all about moving the weight. Mm-hmm. It's all about, pedaling the bike. It's all about just throwing my fist into the bag. Like, they're not even punching the bag. They're just moving their hands. And they're fucking dying. But what's keeping these poor women moving is their total, like, they're all these grinders. Like, they're so like, I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm just going to keep working at it. I'm going to keep grinding. And they've been doing it for a long time. I've been working out at this place now for over a year. Well, it's the same women.
They also connect that, like, endorphin release that they get post workout to, like, I feel better or I feel accomplished.
There's a short term, right?
Yeah, it's a very short term feeling and that's where I think how they get stuck here. Even if you're somebody who listens, like, there's somebody right now, 100%, the amount of people that have listened to this show, 100%, there's someone listening to this right now. It's fucking you. Okay, you are that person. You are that person.
Oh my God!
And the reason why you do not, you're like fucking tuning this out right now is because you have connected that feeling, that sweat feeling, and that feeling of accomplishment, and the endorphin rush that you get from pushing the body like that, and so therefore you justify it.
Dude, it was horrible. I was just watching this.
Sweaty Betty syndrome.
They were doing,
talking to you.
They were doing squats with a barbell as part of their circuit, and they're fucking beat. They were beat when they walked in. They were already exhausted when they walked in. This is like 6-something in the morning. They're doing squats, and they're fucking everywhere. Their knees are going everywhere. I mean, Jessica's like, oh my God. She goes, maybe we should go stand next to them in case one of them goes down. Knees are going all over the place. They're adding weight. The trainer's just yelling at them like, keep going. You got to keep going. And it's like, it's horrible. And the worst part about it is these women are trapped. And I'll tell you why they're trapped. They know instinctively that the second they fucking stop, they're going to gain blow up. They're going to gain a shit ton of weight. They're going to binge like crazy because their body is in such horrible stress state. And these trainers, they don't know any better, and they continue to push them because what they do, and I did this too. I did this when I first became a trainer. You see this client, and in your thought, all you're thinking is, I know why you're not getting leaner and why you're feeling like this, because you're not eating as good as you should. You're not doing what I'm telling you, and you're not working out as hard or as consistently as I'm telling you.
Effort isn't there.
You know what it's like? It's like a parent that like beats their children and they justify it because they've seen results, or because they got beat when they were a kid.
Look, now they're quiet.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
No, seriously, right? It's like a kid that got beat, turned out to be a good kid, right, and successful in life, and says, "I'm going to beat my kids because I was beat." And so that's the mentality, is like, I got in shape because I beat myself up to get in shape, and I have this discipline. I'm going to try and install that same thing in these people. And what we're finding out is, you know what? Beating kids is probably not the best way to do it. Just because some of them,
good strategy.
Just because some of them turn out all right. Just like the same thing goes for beating your clients. Like just because you got clients,
listen, they turn into Ray Rice. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I feel
just because you got some people in shape by doing that doesn't mean it's the most effective way to do it.
I feel so bad. One of them even is really nice and comes and says hi to us, and I'm looking at her and I can see the signs, all the signs of excessive stress on her body. You know, the looseness of her body, her face just looks drawn. She's got even some of the you'll see in women when they you'll see this in anorexics too, but in women who push themselves so hard, they'll get this like micro fine, kind of hair on their face or on their arms. It's a stress response, and they look horrible. They're drinking coffee. They're trying to stimulate their body to pick up even more. And I just want to say something. And the worst part is, this is the worst part here, is if I take them aside and talk to them myself, the advice I'm going to give them, they're not going to listen to. Because my advice would be, hey, listen, here's what you need to do. You need to stop coming to the gym 5 days a week and beating yourself up. I'm going to want you to come work out 2 days a week. You're going to lift weights real basic. We're not going to go to failure. We're going to build up some strength. I want you to get more sleep. I want you to start drinking chamomile at night, and we're going to eliminate coffee for a little while. You're going to start doing meditation, and it's going to take us like 6 months before your body starts to get back on track. None of them will fucking listen to me. No one's going to want to do it.
Yeah.
But this is easily the biggest mistake trainers do, and what you're doing is you are destroying your clients. And here's a good sign, by the way, that you're making this mistake, that you have a high turnover rate. If you are the kind of trainer that gets a client, beats them up, and they're super motivated for the first 3 to 6 months, and they're coming every workout, and the next thing you know, they're missing workouts, and next thing you know, they're not coming anymore, and you got to find more clients, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, people are so unmotivated. Oh, I need to just keep getting clients. Why can't people stick to my routine? It's because you're beating them up, and you're a shitty trainer.
Yeah.
The reality is, when people are hiring you, you should have a much higher stick rate. People will stay with you because they feel good. And if you're a client, and if you're someone right now listening who works out and you're not a trainer, working out should make you feel good. You should not wake up feeling exhausted. You should not leave your workout feeling like you're dreading the day, like you just went through boot camp, like literal boot camp. You should feel good. You should feel centered. You should not have hot flashes and cold flashes. You should not have issues with your sleep. You should feel fucking balanced and amazing. And if you're not, examine your workout, and I guarantee a lot of you, it's because you're going too hard.
What's the second part to this about it was about us, right?
What was your biggest mistake as a trainer?
That
was it for me, for sure.
Yeah,
I went too hard.
Yeah, I think that's
100%.
I don't know. I don't know if you could have a bigger one than that, right? I think that's probably
I think when I read this question initially, I thought what we just talked about, and then I thought from the business side, maybe we could visit that for a second. One of the biggest mistakes I see trainers make from a business side to build their business is they don't believe in their own value. And this happens with new trainers all the time. Like I would get a trainer on board.
They get competitive with their prices.
Well, they look at the prices and they're like, well, 90 a session. Like, can I charge 60 or can I go less? Like that feels like a lot. And it's like, trainers instinctively, I think they'd like to train, but they don't like to sell, or at least they feel like they're asking for money is not right, or maybe they're not worth it.
Well, the problem is that there's a lot of trainers like that. So therefore the customer coming in will have that impression already. So it's like the expectation is already at that level, whereas you need to pull yourself out of that mentality and understand that you're very valuable. You just have to present it in that way and be confident in it.
Don't be afraid to ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask for the sale. Don't be afraid to tell people that it costs something. There's like this huge fear among trainers. Like, I don't know if I can ask them to buy training from me or whatever. It's like, why? That's your job.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, before I get to this next question, we do have Wim Hof here.
Oh.
Yeah, we got to bring that
We have
up.
the Wim Hof certification coming up. What's the date for that, Doug?
Let's get
April
our breathing
29th and
on.
30th here at Mind Pump Studios.
So April 29th and 30th. I don't know if you guys haven't heard of Wim Hof, the Wim Hof breathing method. It is like
The Iceman.
it's fucking exploding. It is absolutely exploding. The Wim Hof methods have been adopted by the military at the highest levels. It's being utilized by top executives in Fortune 500 companies. It's a very effective way of getting your body to improve its peak performance, mental and physical performance. It's quite legit. Some of the, we obviously here at Mind Pump have the ability to meet with and talk to some of these, some incredible athletes. And it's like a year and a half ago, I kind of heard of the breathing methods.
Yeah.
Now it's like everybody's doing it and talking about it.
Have you seen that show Stan Lee's Superhuman?
He was
On there. It's just because he's figured out this way to tap into breathing, to really get connected to the body on a level that's like a lot of people didn't even know you could get to. And he just has done superhuman feats because he's just so in tune with that. And like, that's why, and they're studying him in a lab in science, and it's just very fascinating. I highly recommend you check out that episode.
I'm fascinated with what it's doing for the immune system too. Like that's what's really, really fascinating.
That's some interesting shit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's to me is what it's really, really cool.
What they're finding with some of these with these breathing methods is your people who are really good at it and practice it are becoming able, or at least are able enough to control to some degree the automatic systems of the body, like the things that we take for granted, like your heart beating, your body
lungs,
temperature, all that stuff, things that your body automatically does. People at the highest level of this type of training are able to lower temperature, increase their body temperature, slow the heart rate
On
down.
command.
On command.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting stuff. And how do people register? They just go to our page?
Yeah, go to the event calendar on the page and click on the Wim Hof
mindpumpmedia.com.
Yep.
Excellent.
That is correct.
Next question.
All
sir.
right. Our next question is J2264. What is the key to being happy?
Well, let me tell you.
yeah, right.
Got it
God,
all figured out.
if I knew that
I'm
shit,
happy.
You know what's funny? Katrina and I had literally last night, and I love this because I told you guys that her and I, every month, I'm reading like my own book that I'm going on, then we choose a book that we're reading together, and it always promotes all this great dialogue, right? So afterwards, she asked this question, right? She goes, what does a perfect day look like for you? And I said, I don't know, I don't think I would actually want that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And she's like, well, if this was a perfect day, the day that you would want to have over and over and over again. I said, well, I think that's just it. I think the perfect day is imperfect, right? I think that's part of what that drives us, and that's all of this is embracing the challenges and the difficulties and overcoming those is what makes things so awesome. And if it was so perfect that nothing bad happened and everything went smooth, if that just kept happening every single day, then really it would get boring really fast. So what does perfect look like, and would you really want that, is what I would challenge you.
You know what that reminded, what you just said? You guys ever watch The Twilight Zone? Remember that?
Yeah,
that show? Fucking awesome, by the way. Super old, way older than me. Great TV series with some great twists in it. There was one episode where there was a guy in the beginning, he's a bank robber, and then he's going in a shootout with these police officers, and then they kill him. And then he pops up, and he's in like this beautiful hotel room, and then this like guy walks in the room who's wearing this white suit, and he kind of looks like an angel almost, but he's just wearing a suit. And he's like, hey, welcome. He goes, welcome. And he goes, where am I? And he goes, well, I mean, where do you think you are? And he goes, oh my God. He goes, this must be heaven. He goes, well, what do I do? And the guy goes, you can do whatever you want. Like, do whatever you want. And so this guy, he goes and gambles, and every hand he wins. He goes and eats, and he never gains a pound. Like, every woman he talks to is attracted to him, and he's like, oh my God, heaven is awesome. And then they fast forward like 5 or 10 years later.
He's over it.
And he's fucking miserable. He's so miserable. And he calls the angel back, and he goes, fucking change this. I hate this. Like, this can't be
not reality.
He goes, this can't be what heaven is like. And then the angel looks at him and he goes, who told you this was heaven? It was a fucking amazing episode.
Utopia, right? Like that was the whole Matrix thing. Like they had to like restructure the Matrix because it didn't work.
Yeah. This is a question that people, there's books written on it. It's been examined by monks and motivational speakers, and it's one of those like key human questions. Like, why are we here? What's the key to being happy and all that stuff. For me, this is a very personal question because the last 5 years have been so challenging, just beyond comprehension. I had, at the time, when I was married, my wife had a horrible health situation happen where she almost passed away. She had her appendix ruptured, and she was in the hospital for like 10 days. And then right after that, someone very, very close to me got diagnosed with cancer, and then they fought it. And I was very, very really intricately involved in that whole process of fighting the cancer, watching this person deteriorate. Then they passed away. Then I got divorced, and going through that whole process. And this is something that was that I constantly ask myself, like, first of all, what's the key to being happy, and then number two, like, what is happiness? And for me, and I don't know the answer, so I'm not pretending to know the answer at all, but what helped me a lot was I was able to divide this into a couple different things. One of them was that I really realized that there are physical feelings of anxiety, depression, paranoia, happiness, and there are emotional feelings that are to those things, and they can all be connected. So what I mean by that is, think of anxiety. Let's just talk about anxiety for a second. You can have like anxious thoughts and worries in your mind, right? You can also have physical symptoms of anxiety. Like I could give you a drug that I could give you speed or something that speeds up your heart, makes your hands sweat, and gives you the physical sensations of anxiety. Now, the physical sensations of anxiety are also very similar to the same sensations you get when you're excited, happy, or in love. But they're also the same feelings similar feelings you get when you're stressed or worried or anxious. And so I started to think to myself, and because I'm in fitness, this was easy for me to put this together. I am going to make sure that I have the physical feelings of happiness. So I'm going to get that out of the way, because the physical feelings of sad, depression, physically feeling shitty can easily make you feel emotionally shitty. Like eating shitty food, not moving, not getting sunshine, not getting good sleep. Those will make you physically feel bad, which then can feed the whole emotional, mental component. And then it becomes this whole cycle, right? Mm-hmm. Now you feel depressed emotionally on top of physically feeling depressed. Now you don't want to move even more, and you feed into it and you get into this whole cycle. So number one is do all the things that are easy. And I don't mean easy in the sense that they're easy, like you can do them. They're simple, like eat right, exercise, get sunshine, get good sleep, have good relationships with people. Make sure that your physical body, which is the filter for a lot of stuff, is feeling good. Mm-hmm. Then all you really have to deal with is the emotional, mental component. And that was much more difficult for me to deal with. And more recently, I've changed the question. So I used to ask myself, what can I do to make sure I'm happy all the time? Like, how can I feel happy and content all the time? And I changed that because I think there's a mistake there. I don't think you're supposed to be happy all the time. I think that's false. I think that's a myth.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to be happy. I think I think
that's a mistake a lot of people have these days. That that's the optimal state that everybody emotionally they want to be in a happy state, right?
Yeah, you can't be happy and joyful all the time. First of all, if you're always joyful, then you're not joyful, because joy and happiness
it's going to diminish the value.
Well,
of
what
joy.
I mean by that, it only exists because you understand that it's a state of mind that's in contrast to the opposite.
Yeah.
Just like what the color, what black is because you know what light is. Yeah. You know what happy is because you know what sad is. If you never knew sadness, you would never know happiness. So that's number one. Number two, to really feel, I guess, good about your life, and it doesn't mean happy, but just feel good. The key, I think, at least what I'm starting to find is as I'm looking for meaning.
Yeah.
What's the meaning?
It's all purpose-based. That's how I feel. Like I feel like to achieve happiness, like I'm always striving to feed into my purpose. And whether that's, doing things for other people, which I know I get a reward from that, as far as like the feeling of happy when I can see people around me that are happy and their emotional state is good. And, that definitely will affect me personally. But the thing is, there's times where people hurt, and there's times where, shit doesn't go your way. And you have to have resiliency, and you have to be able to feel different feelings, but you the ability to be able to channel yourself and regroup and then find your way back to happy. Like, I think that's the important a lesson in this, is that there's a way to mentally recreate that and to get back to that optimal state. But I mean, it's like training, it's like eating, it's like everything else. Like you can't just do the same thing. You can't operate on the same mode all the time. That's just not reality.
Well, think about it this way. Like if you're just like focused, like I need to be happy all the time. That's my goal in life, to be happy, because that's what people say, right? What's your goal in life? To be happy. What happens when something bad happens? Because it will. Life isn't perfect for anybody. I don't care. Even the richest people, the people who think have everything, they've got challenges too, right? It's their challenges. They might not be your challenges, but it's theirs. What happens when you have a day where shit goes wrong? Well, now you're not happy, and now you feel even worse because you're not happy. Like, I shouldn't feel sad. I need to feel happy. How can I make myself feel happy? And you're constantly chasing this feeling that really is just a state of being a human. Now, flip that. What if I was searching for meaning? Now when something bad happens, I lose a loved one, I get sick, I get injured, I lose my job, divorce, whatever. I understand I'm not going to be happy, but I'm looking for meaning in it. What can I get from this?
And learning.
How can I grow from this? What can I learn from this? What does this mean for me? Look for meaning in things, and then you'll find that life becomes, it just becomes different. It becomes less, I guess less challenging is the word, but I don't even like to use that because it's always challenging, right?
Yeah.
So meaning, that's my answer.
There you go.
That was a lot of answer for somebody who said he wasn't very certain about it.
It changes, right?
Yeah. It's a deep question.
I'm going to have to disagree a little bit here. First of all, I love this shit. I mean, I love talking about ego, perspective, philosophy. Like, I think we can be happy. I think we can be happy all the time. And I think the key to that is perspective and finding the silver lining. I think that
it's finding meaning, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's perspective, right? So
isn't that the same thing?
Kind of. You danced around it left or right, and
lining, dude.
Gave a lot of certainties in there. But I definitely think that you can be happy, and I think that's something that I think we're always striving to do this, and I think it's very challenging. I think Katrina is amazing at this. It's part of why she makes an incredible partner for me, because I still am very emotional and let things react to things that seem devastating to me, right? A death in the family. How can you find happiness in that, Adam? Like, how can you find happiness in someone so close to you dying? Or how can you find happiness in losing a job, or getting fired, or all these things that happen in life? And I absolutely think you can. I think in everything that seems so daunting or stressful or heartbreaking to us, there is good that can come of it. And I think learning to find that right away is the real challenge. And I think some of us that try to practice this or pay attention to this ultimately find that. And let's use your divorce for an example. Like you bring up that being like one of the most, you've been through probably one of the most challenging times you've ever been in the last year, right? I think you would agree with that. And the only real difference between you today and you the day after that all happened is your mindset. Nothing physically. In fact, I bet if you really think about it, like, it's a lot of things good have come from that.
Of course.
And we sometimes are blinded by self and our ego. And when we get hit with these things, our ego starts to tell us, like, oh my God, I failed as a father. Oh my God, I'm not good enough. Oh my God, like all these things. But in reality, it's like, what if you said, like, oh my God, this is going to be an incredible opportunity. Oh my God, like my life is going to get so much better today. Oh my God. What if you flipped it on its head when we had scenarios like that? And I think that's what we're all trying to get at, and we're trying to get to that level. And I think it requires incredible perspective. I think it requires incredible self-awareness, and you will always be battling your ego in this situation. And I think happiness is defined differently by everybody. I think that your level of it is really, truly up to you. Like, you could be the happiest person in life, and you do not need to do anything different but change your perspective.
But it's okay to be sad, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to have, like,
of course,
these other emotions attached. It's all on how you react, right?
There's a reason why those emotions exist,
right?
And I tell you what, we had Justin Wren in here, and he talked about working with the pygmies, and how he was trying to explain his depression to them and how he wanted to commit suicide. And it wasn't that they didn't understand him, like they were thinking like, oh, you should be happy. That doesn't make sense. They didn't understand the concept. It was baffling to them. And I've actually read about this and heard about this many, many times, how in many of these, what we consider primitive societies, they don't experience things like depression, at least not in our terminology, right? They don't experience these anxieties and depressions and fears in the same ways that we do. And you got to ask yourself why. I'm sure there's a modern living component. I'm sure we focus on so many different things at what time, type component. But I also think that there's this mentality that we've attached to modern Western life where we're constantly telling people to be happy. Like, you have to fucking be happy. Everything's got to be great all the time, rather than saying there's meaning in things and learn from things and grow from things. And I really do think, Adam, what you're saying is it really another way of saying that is when something bad happens, you look at it and you grow from it. And what is the meaning behind it? You assess
it and,
absolutely.
how you're going to react to it.
Because I think
perspective.
When you do that, it changes what that particular situation then means to you, rather than this horrible thing just happened to me. Wow, I just got so sick that I wasn't able to work out for 3 months and I can't do any, or maybe even something devastating like I lost a limb in a car accident, or I'm paralyzed. And you could look at it and be like, this horrible thing just happened to me. Or you can say, okay, this horrible thing happened to me. How can I grow from this? And what does this mean for me? And how can I change things? It's interesting. There's the story of, was it that guy, that rock climber? He's the amputee that rock climbs. And you watch his interviews and it's all about meaning for him. You know what I mean? It's all about, like, he doesn't look at himself and think he's at a disadvantage. He realizes there's a disadvantage in some cases, right? But he also says that it's an advantage in many other cases. And more and more when you're talking to these kinds of, because I don't think you should go to the person that has everything and ask them what the secret to happiness is. I think you should go to the person who, in your eyes, has nothing but seems to be
happy.
Yeah, they seem to be content.
That's, to me, the pygmy story is a great example of what I was saying with perspective. Is the reason why they couldn't connect with him about why he would kill himself is because from their perspective, every day is a struggle to live. So why would you ever think about taking a life that you're fighting for every day? So that's their perspective. And for him, what's our perspective? I get up in the morning, I turn on my Instagram, and it's the guy with the fast car and the cool chicks and the bikinis and the throwing money up in the air and all the traveling all over the world. And like, that's my perspective of what happiness is. And
how strange is that, right?
That's why I just did a post not that long ago about, and that's why I know sometimes some of my posts don't get likes because it's in my head. And when I put it out, I'm not the best at fucking articulating what I'm trying to say, but that's what I meant by detachment and perspective, is learning to detach yourself from your fucking little bubble and have perspective on your life. And once you learn to do that, I believe that happiness will follow. And I think that's what we're all trying to do. And it's in our society, it's harder than ever because of all the distractions that we have with being present. And the pygmy was a perfect example of somebody, they don't have any of those distractions, and they solely are focused on survival. Therefore, somebody that would take their own life seems so counterproductive to what they thrive for every day.
It's interesting because it's like you base your own value and worth on other people. You look at other people and you compare, and that will tell you if you're doing, that you'll think to yourself like, oh, I'm doing good or I'm doing bad based on these other people. But the reality is, if I just go back 100 years, 150 years, and take a person from there and put them in the average, put them in middle class America,
be honest,
they would be like, wow, this is utopia. Like, Are you kidding me? You have heat and cool on demand. I have food that I can eat whenever I want.
You can be entertained by your phone in your hand at all times.
It would be ridiculous. But here's a question I want to ask you guys. What is your definition? Like, what is feeling happy mean? Because I think when people think happy, they think joy. Like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I started kind of redefining it a little bit, because that does exist too, right? Where you're joyful, like, oh, I just won the lottery. I mean, that would be fucking joy, right?
For me, it's like I feel filled.
Yes, peace, right?
Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, I guess it's the absence of fear and stress and anxiety. Like for me, it's I feel filled because I know I've tapped in and I've honed in on purpose and meaning and like I get up in the morning and I have other people counting on me, and I'm hitting my marks and I'm doing things in the right order, and things are kind of playing out the way that I feel like I wanted this to go, and that fills me up, and then I get to higher highs, and then I kind of level out. But joy is definitely I feel like joy should be more sporadic, to where it's like, oh wow, like you just get really charged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the same for me. It's that feeling of like peace. Like you feel. Content's the wrong word. I guess filled would probably be.
Well,
that's a great word.
The reason why they're all wrong words is because they're words, dude. They're made up fucking words
to explain a feeling.
Exactly. Like, let's be fucking honest here. We could sit
wrong word, dude.
We could sit around this campfire all day and fucking talk about what's more right or who's more and I think it's just like I said. It's simpler than that. It's like there's happiness in everything. Even the most challenging, worst day of your life, there's happiness within it.
Well, you're alive. I mean, you could deduce it down to that.
There's a million ways you can, right? And I think trying to put a label on it is the first mistake. I think just
if you're dead, you're not happy.
Right? Find the
maybe you are.
Maybe you are happy.
Find the silver lining in everything. Find the silver lining in everything. Detach yourself. Have better perspective.
It's funny too because statistics will show that people people laugh whenever these numbers come out. Men who are married live longer than men who are single. Men who have children live longer than men who don't. And people say, well, how the fuck is that possible? Because marriage and children is like some of the most
killing me. Yeah.
But I think it might be that. I think
because you have purpose.
And people who go to church.
But you can create that without children and without a marriage if you know how to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I just
got to be more active about it.
It happens for you.
Exactly. And I think people who go to church regularly tend to live longer and be healthier too.
Yeah. They tapped into the meaning.
One of the things, in fact, when they do these big studies on the blue zones, where areas where people live disproportionately longer than everywhere else in the world, one of the key things they find in common with all these areas of the world is that they have very good, close social networks, and they all have a sense of purpose. That's literally what it says.
Maybe that's a really good word for it, right? The purpose. I like purpose there because I feel like in every bad situation, every good, you have a purpose within that, right? Mm-hmm. Like and you can throw me any devastating thing that could have possibly happened to you. And
what's the purpose of it?
Yeah. What is the purpose of it? Where's your purpose? So I think I don't know. You could go around all day long on words with this shit, but I think
purpose.
I think too often people try and define it, try and seek for it when it's right in your fucking face. I mean, happiness is in front of you every single day. You just choose to accept it or not.
Mm-hmm. Listen, go to mindpumpmedia.com, enroll in 30 days of coaching. It's still free. So what happens here? Here's what happens. Every single day, you get an email with a subject, whether it's fat, protein, carbs, whether it's mobility, strength. It could be, wellness, meditation. We cover that subject, and then we link you to podcast episodes that we've covered that subject in detail, and we timestamp them. So from minute 5:37 to
don't
minute
mushroom stamp them.
15. Yeah, you that's when we talk about that particular subject. It's absolutely free. You just go to mindpumpmedia.com and opt in. Also, find us on Instagram. When we answer these questions on these Q&A episodes, that's where we get the questions, is from our Instagram. It's at Mind Pump Radio. Now, you can find my personal page at Mind Pump Sal. You can find Adam's personal page at Mind Pump Adam. And Justin is at Mind Pump Justin.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now, plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.